The sheer hype and excitement inside of the One Piece community right now is at an all-time high, and I think it is definitely because of the mysterious figure Im that everybody has been wanting to know a lot more about in the series, and we're kind of getting bits and pieces about the different timelines of One Piece, and we're getting a little bit more of Im in the story, especially with the recent chapter 1084 of One Piece. But one thing that I did want to mention that I've always found very weird is the weird prevalence of the number 16 inside of the series of One Piece recently. This number 16 ties in with Im, the world government as a whole, and also Doflamingo of all people, since we've seen him actually bring up that number on a different occasion inside of the story. In this video, I essentially want to just talk about and go over the different theories as to why the number 16 keeps coming up inside of the story and what significance this might hold. With that being said though, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy anything you see here today. I make a lot of different theory videos, very similar to this one on different series, and I want to thank everybody for watching. To start off the video though, one of the most recent occasions of the number 16 kind of being brought up into the story of One Piece was actually in chapter 1060, and that is when Im used that beam of light, or whatever that was, to actually destroy that island, and we see that it is actually 16 beams in total of that light that actually destroys the island, and we can count them individually in the panel. You can individually see that it is 16 in total. Without any other context in the series of One Piece, you would kind of think that I'm crazy for counting out the individual beams and mentioning the number 16 from there, and you know, I wouldn't blame you. It does seem weird to count the beams, say they're 16, and think there's any sort of prevalence with that, but after we get into some of the other points in the series where we see the number 16 brought up, it's going to be kind of weird, and it's definitely going to make it seem like the number 16 is something very important to maybe the Celestial Dragons themselves, maybe the world government as a whole, or most definitely maybe for Im themselves. I feel like talking about these 16 beams of light that destroyed that island is a very good segue to talk about the 16 holy bullets that Doflamingo actually shot out at Luffy when they were fighting, and I always thought it was very weird that he specifically had 16 holy bullets. Like, for some reason, just reading the chapter and watching the anime, I always thought it was very weird that he specifically said 16, and this was before I kind of tied together the fact that the number 16 keeps popping up, but I thought it was very weird, and now that we know the connections with Doflamingo being, of course, a celestial dragon, somebody that has fallen from grace, but he's still actually a celestial dragon, and Doflamingo seems like he knows a lot more about the world government and the celestial dragons as a total than he kind of lets on, and he's only kind of given us, you know, little leaks and pieces of what all of this could actually mean, or what the celestial dragons kind of stand for. But it was very weird that he kind of brought up these 16 holy bullets in his attack, and now with the recent 1060 chapter where we see those 16 beams of light destroying everything, I think that Doflamingo was kind of, you know, maybe referencing the fact that that number 16 is very important and very prevalent inside of the series. Another interesting moment where the world government or the celestial dragons were brought up and the number 16 was also brought up in the same conversation was when the gentleman was talking about how the celestial dragons kind of wronged him, and he said that they, you know, my sons were only 2 and 5 at the time, and he mentioned the fact that they were actually shot 16 times by them. Reading this panel without any of that context would be very weird, because you could ask yourself, why did Oda specifically mention the fact that they were shot 16 times, which 16 is already kind of a bit excessive to be shot at by somebody, but the fact that he mentioned that specifically, the exact number of times that they were shot by a celestial dragon who is a big member, a big part of the world government as a whole, there's definitely some type of correlation there that Oda was trying to kind of bring together in the series and hoping that us fans, us readers would kind of pick up on. Now, one of the very big moments that the number 16 was brought up into the series that I feel like is going to play a very prevalent role in Luffy's journey, especially right now in the story, is the fact that Rayleigh gave Luffy the idea to go back to Marineford and ring that bell 16 times specifically when Luffy ended up going back to that plaza. And I feel like this is very important just in the fact that it was Rayleigh himself that told Luffy that this was a good idea to do, since it's Rayleigh. Rayleigh obviously knows a bunch of the different secrets about the world that not a lot of other people are privy to, you know, information pertaining to that, so Rayleigh would definitely know what that number means, and the fact that he told Luffy to ring that bell 16 times specifically in front of a place where the world government is obviously going to watch many of the different members, most likely the 5 elders, maybe even Im kind of saw all of that going on, so it just is very interesting that he told Luffy to do this, most likely knowing that this would cause a stir inside of the world government and cause them to probably be like, you know, what's going on? Why did Luffy ring this bell 16 times? What does Luffy know? And they kind of know that he's, you know, teamed up with Rayleigh in sort of a way, so they probably knew that maybe Rayleigh kind of gave him some information. So I can definitely see the fact that he just rang this bell 16 times kind of making the world government scratch their heads like, you know, what does Luffy know? What does Rayleigh know? You know, what's going on right now? And kind of have them, you know, in a tizzy, I guess you could say. I just really find that interesting, and even though Doflamingo himself is obviously a celestial dragon, so he knows a lot about the world that he probably doesn't let other people onto, the fact that Rayleigh told Luffy to ring that bell 16 times is just kind of weighing a bit more on me in terms of the significance of it, since Rayleigh, I still feel like knows a lot more than Doflamingo does, just in the fact that he was obviously with Roger at the end. If there was anybody that would know the secrets about the world and the world government as a whole, and maybe even Imu, it would definitely be Rayleigh right now in the story. Another very interesting point that the series brought up the number 16, and one of my kind of favorites, I guess you could say, just in the fact that it pertains to NL, somebody that I really do want to come back into the story so much, and we have not seen him ever since the cover pages that he was present in, but I do want to see him come back into the story a lot. But getting back into the main topic, we see that when he was on the moon, you kind of saw a mural of a bunch of different things, and the community as a whole has kind of come to the agreement that these three things, or the three murals or paintings that he saw on this wall, are most likely the ancient weapons. And we see the ancient weapon Pluton, we see Poseidon, and we also see the ancient weapon Uranus. And the Uranus is kind of in the shape of a sun, so it's kind of the ancient weapon the sun, and this weapon has 16 different points on the wheel, or the sides that kind of pertain to what it's created of. So that number 16 again has come up, you know, with something pertaining to the world government. The ancient weapons, all of those are something kept hidden by the world government that they don't want to let the general public kind of learn about. So the fact that this weapon has 16 points also is very interesting when we kind of bring everything together. The weird, odd occurrence of the number 16 that just keeps popping up into the story, you know, we can't get away from it. We keep seeing the number 16 pop up time and time again for different reasons, and it is always with somebody that knows connections or has a direct connection with the world government as a whole and Imu. We obviously see this with Doflamingo, since he is in fact a celestial dragon and he knows a lot more than I feel like he's kind of letting on to. And of course Rayleigh would know a lot about the world government and the inner workings of the world of One Piece as a whole, since he's seen what is in Laugh Tale. He knows exactly kind of like what the world pertains to, but he's kind of, you know, retired. He doesn't really want to tell Luffy what all of this is, but obviously if somebody knows, it would definitely be somebody on his caliber. And of course seeing it with Enel, with him on the moon, seeing all of these ancient weapons there in that mural, seeing the different people talk about how they were shot 16 times by Celestial Dragon, the fact that, you know, Luffy was able to ring that bell 16 times on the orders of Rayleigh himself, it's just very odd. It is very interesting that this number just keeps getting brought up to the series, and I feel like everybody should right now just keep their eyes peeled for this number. Keep looking for things that pertain to 16 and kind of try to tie them together so we can kind of bring them all together and see exactly what it means, since right now in the story we just don't have enough information to know exactly what these 16 numbers are, but we just do know that they obviously have some sort of prevalence with the celestial dragons or the world government as a whole, and Imu obviously has something to do with it too, with the fact that he destroyed, or he or she destroyed, that island with 16 beams of that light that they used to completely erase it out of existence. I feel like there may be other occurrences of the number 16 kind of being brought up into the story that maybe I didn't see, so if you know of any of these different occurrences, definitely let me know in the comment section down below. Also, let me know what you guys think maybe the number 16 has that prevalence for, what this could actually mean in the grand scope of One Piece. Do you guys have any theories about what the number 16 could mean, or maybe it holds some weird significance in, like, you know, folklore or lore in general? Definitely let me know what you guys think this number means in the comment section down below. Also, I feel like we are very close to right now kind of finally getting a reveal of what this number could mean, or what all of this means in the story, especially with the most recent chapters kind of getting more into Imu in general. So definitely let me know your guys' ideas of what this number could really mean in the grand scheme of things. Also, like the video if you liked it and subscribe, as it really does help me out, and I really do appreciate each and every one of you guys for sticking around and watching my videos. I thank you guys so much. But with that being said, I'm out. Peace.